For this vocab question, I think it's helpful to read the entire first paragraph, but I'm purposely leaving it out because I don't think it's necessary, but I do think it's helpful because we see a lot of examples that kind of repeat the idea that kind of comes up in this first sentence or two. So I get why that might be helpful, but instead we're going to do what we normally do, which is not read too much, just kind of focus on what we're told, and focus instead on the words and the choices and the strong words, the strongness of these words. Strength, maybe is the word I should use. Still though, we're going to go to the line and we're going to look at this word primitive, and we're going to come up with our own guess for what they're saying here. So it says, it is amusing in retrospect to think how blank our efforts were in those early years. So they're talking about being early. For my first two films, all the interiors were shot on outdoor sets with canvases draped over them to soften the sun. So my honest guess for what's going on here is that they're saying something like how early their efforts were, right? Like it's something about the fact that it's happening in the past. So that might lead us to something like B, ancient. But that's a very strong word. We're talking about silent films, right? So ancient is like the Greeks and the Romans and the Egyptians. Like we can't use this kind of word to describe like something that happened 50 years ago. That's just not right. And so this is an example of a strong word. That word ancient has a little bit to do with something being early. But we're filming things. Like the word is not, it's way too strong for the context. So this is a good example where maybe my guess is kind of nudging me somewhere, but I look at it and I just kind of think about it, I maybe plug it back into the sentence and I see that it just doesn't fit. There are other choices too that we can think of as like, okay, what do these choices really mean? What kind of punch does this word pack? A word like natural is a good example, right? So we would want to think, okay, in order to justify that word, we would need something about nature. And maybe we get a little bit with the sun, but again, they're talking about films. And they're talking about like trying to mimic an indoor set, even though they're outdoors, by like getting rid of the sun. So natural doesn't seem right. I mean, it's not, there is nothing about nature. They're trying to keep nature out. So again, that just seems kind of wrong. And then original, well, this is a very strong word in that it means something very positive, right? If something's original, it's new, it's innovative. And so that might fit with the context of the entire passage. But it's not really conveyed in these lines, right? I mean, is it saying that they're very, very good about what they're doing? Are they talking about this in a very positive way? I don't think so. I mean, they don't really say it's negative, but that's kind of how strong words work, is we really, need evidence of the word in order to justify it. And so I don't really have anything here that's justifying something being new and original and innovative. Those are very positive ideas that I'm not picking up on automatically. It's reasonable to think that these were original ideas that they were having. But I'm not supposed to make those kinds of assumptions. The lines are supposed to justify the word for me. And that gets us to the right answer, which is basic. That is a word we can justify. Basic just means something like simple. So is there evidence that this was something simple that they were doing? Well, the fact that it was early on probably means that they weren't super complex because it was like the first time they ever did this. So that's maybe me doing a little bit of the work. But the lines do the work too. Just look. The interiors were shot on outdoor sets with a canvas draped over them to soften the sun. That's pretty simple. Right? They're like, okay, well, what do we do to make it look like we're inside? We just like hang a towel over it. Like that's basically what they're saying. So it's a very simple solution. And that word basic, simple, those words are not strong. They're very weak. It could be basic for all sorts of reasons. And so that's why that's also a better fit, is in the absence of strong evidence for one of these vocab questions. We'd prefer a word that doesn't say too much, that's not too strong, because we don't have evidence for it. So a word that's a little less powerful, that doesn't have as strong of a meaning, is going to be a better guess. And so we usually use this strong words idea on the longer choices, right? The ones that, there's multiple words, there's multiple strong words in a choice. But it goes to show that we're always kind of thinking about the meanings of words and whether or not we can justify those things. This is very difficult if English isn't your first language, but it's one of those things that you just need to kind of like keep practicing, And hopefully my videos help you notice the kinds of subtle things that you wouldn't otherwise notice. And so practice will, make you a better guesser and everything with these vocab questions, and you'll know more words and you'll have more confidence and get more points.